The death toll of the Hong Kong Hanfu Court fire has risen to 156, with at least 30 people still missing. In the aftermath of the smoke, public anger continues to intensify. Even foreign media could no longer hold back, confronting Chief Executive John Lee at the scene and demanding why he has not stepped down. The devil, however, lies in the details. The Hong Kong government has repeatedly changed its narrative and hastily announced the creation of an independent commission, suspected of being a strategy to cool public outrage before Sunday's district council election and prevent the anger from spreading to Beijing. Amid the icy statistics and political calculations, Li Ka-shing donated 120 million Hong Kong dollars, sparking shock among mainland Chinese. In this disaster where fire and power intersect, how far is the truth still from us? Don't miss the next drop, subscribe and hit the bell. First 7 days of mourning, death toll rises to 156. The catastrophic fire at Hanfu Court has gripped an entire city. Let's begin with the latest updates. Police announced at 4 p.m. on December 2 that the death toll had increased to 156, with at least 30 still unaccounted for. Behind the cold numbers lie countless shattered families. December 2 also marked the 7th day after the victims' deaths. At Quang Phuc Recreation Ground in Taipa, residents lined up to offer flowers. The pavilion was filled with handwritten notes of remembrance and sorrow. The air was heavy with suppressed but profound grief. At 2 p.m., police arranged for the family of 37-year-old firefighter Ho Wai-ho, who died on duty, along with his colleagues, to conduct a memorial service near the grass between Hong Chung Court and Hong Tai Court. Beer cans were placed on the ground, surrounded by a sea of white flowers. Nearby, incense and offerings quietly rested on the altar. As the ceremony began, uniformed colleagues lined up to offer incense and bow. Each gently placed a white flower. Some could not contain their grief, sobbing, "Ah ho, come back. Come home." At the same time, firefighters continued spraying water onto the open space outside Hong Chung Court, the very spot where Ho was found. During the memorial, a faint rainbow suddenly appeared above the area. Brief, silent, heartbreakingly beautiful. John Lee criticized by foreign media. Before the Executive Council meeting that morning, Hong Kong Chief Executive John Lee announced that a judge-led independent commission would investigate all related to the fire to the very end. However, at the scene, an AFP journalist sharply challenged him. "Over the years, you claimed to lead Hong Kong from chaos to order, and from order to prosperity, yet in this so-called prosperous society, 151 people have burned to death. Could you explain why you deserve to remain as chief executive?" Lee responded hastily, "All cities will experience fires. The most important task now," he said, "is to reform the system and prevent vested interests from causing another tragedy." When asked whether anyone had been arrested on charges of incitement, including students or volunteers, he refused to answer directly, saying law enforcement would act regardless of identity and that no one will be allowed to exploit the tragedy to commit crimes. His remarks triggered widespread ridicule online. Netizens derided his response as evasive, incoherent, pretentious, the perfect example of answering without answering. Others said listening to him instantly infuriates because of his total lack of responsibility. He once declared accountability. Does that not include himself? He did not even apologize. Even if a resignation changes nothing, such a grave incident deserves accountability. The devil is in the details. At first glance, Lee's independent commission seems reasonable. But the devil is in the details. This commission is not a statutory independent commission formed under the Commissions of Inquiry Ordinance. The difference is substantive. A non-statutory commission has nearly no legal power. No power to summon witnesses. No power to demand documents. No power to record sworn testimony. Everything is voluntary. Witnesses can simply refuse to cooperate. The more sensitive or crucial, the less likely cooperation. Without evidence or testimony, the commission cannot uncover crucial facts or deliver credible conclusions. In the end, it becomes independent in name, but toothless in practice. An investigation in form, but hollow in function. That is the real fear. Netizens commented, "The commission is just for Sunday's district election, to cool tempers." Sickening. Another wrote, "How long before Hong Kong ends up petitioning like the mainland?" One quoted writer, and I quote, "Believe a prostitute before you believe an official." Government's repeated contradictions. Before this, the government had already released conflicting statements, triggering widespread suspicion. On the first night of the fire, Secretary for Security Chris Tang stated that the protective mesh on the building burned abnormally rapidly and violently, beyond normal fire-resistant materials. Police even found foam boards, highly flammable, covering windows in untouched buildings, also abnormal. The next day, John Lee shifted the blame toward bamboo scaffolding, suggesting metal scaffolding must replace bamboo, implying bamboo structures accelerated the fire. On the third day, after the fire subsided, the narrative flipped again. Tang said tests showed scaffolding mesh met flame retardant standards. Instead, the foam boards were highly flammable. On December 1st, the narrative flipped a third time. Chief Secretary Eric Chan announced that 7 of 20 samples of mesh from multiple buildings failed flame retardant standards. ICAC Commissioner Simon Pei explained, after Typhoon Wifa, contractors bought 2,300 rolls of non-compliant mesh, enough to wrap 8 buildings. Later, after another fire, they bought 115 rolls of compliant mesh for lower floors to pass inspections. According to this logic, mesh used before the typhoon bears no responsibility. The problem lies solely with mislabeling by the contractor. But is it really that simple? The scaffolding mesh industry behind the curtain. The contractor involved, Hong Yip Construction, also handled exterior repairs at 11 other buildings in Hong Kong, using mesh from 2 Shandong companies labeled flame retardant and certified by local testing labs. Both companies are registered in Huimin County, Shandong. Business information shows that Shandong Qinshu Chemical Fiber, founded in 2019 with 3 million renminbi, is registered in Nanbeili Village, a village with dozens of similar firms. Chinese netizens bluntly speculate some may be shell companies. State media had already legitimized the industry. A 2020 People's Daily article described Huimin County as China's largest synthetic net manufacturing base. Xinhua News reported in June that Huimin hosts 4,257 companies employing over 120,000 people, exporting to 100-plus countries, with an annual output of 30.2 billion renminbi in 2024. Understanding this context, many pieces fall into place. Why did the government rush to pre-announce abolishing bamboo scaffolding? Why the constant shifting narrative while washing the mesh? Because the issue is not one project, but a nationwide supply chain worth 30+ billion RMB. If the mesh is proven faulty, the consequences would not stop at Hong Kong. They would escalate to Shandong, to Chinese industrial regulation, export compliance, and ultimately, government oversight. The fire could burn its way to Beijing, even to Xi Jinping. As calls for accountability grew, the government responded by labeling them destabilizing. Beyond the charred ruins, another kind of ash was spreading. Opposition activists planned a press conference on high-rise safety. Hours before the event, authorities ordered its cancellation. One organizer, Lawyer Liu, was summoned by national security officers and signed a confidentiality agreement. Earlier, police arrested 24-year-old student Quan Qingfeng, who launched an online petition with 4 demands: continued support for victims, a true independent inquiry, review of construction regulation, and accountability. Before his arrest, AFP interviewed him. He left a painful message: "We must face the truth. Hong Kong today is broken, inside and out." The Hongfu Court fire is the deadliest in Hong Kong's history and rare even globally. Evidence shows it was not a natural disaster but a man-made catastrophe from systemic failures. But the institutions designed to expose truth have collapsed. Democracy has dissolved. Oversight has been neutered. Corruption thrives behind the scenes. Public demands are deemed subversive and suppressed by national security agencies. The fire is a mirror, revealing a cruel truth: Hong Kong's once prized freedom and democracy have been gutted. Where Beijing extends its hand, systems rot. And disasters follow. Commentator Kai Shinkuan posted, "What justice is left in Hong Kong today? National security law has destroyed everything. All the change in Hong Kong today was caused by Beijing." Among the donations, over 700 million Hong Kong dollars in just 24 hours, one name stood out: Li Ka-shing. His foundation donated 80 million Hong Kong dollars, the largest amount from a single businessman. More important than the amount was the logic: precise, restrained, ethical. Immediately after the fire, the foundation issued 30 million Hong Kong dollars with no bureaucratic delay, directly targeting urgent needs. Hot meals for the displaced. Beds for those who survived. The second 50 million Hong Kong dollars targeted community rebuilding and psychological support. The statement specifically acknowledged support for the fallen firefighter's family, quiet but compassionate. Later, as state media focused on blame shifting, Lee donated another 40 million Hong Kong dollars for medical recovery, totaling 120 Hong Kong dollars million. Yet Ta Kung Pao deliberately omitted his name, listing others first. This sparked backlash among mainland netizens. Some said, he has no unfinished developments, no predatory loans, no unpaid wages, yet he donates endlessly. Why do you attack him? Others argued the government vilifies him because it cannot financially exploit him, yet public opinion speaks for itself. Another pointed out the absurd contrast. State media glorified a Cambodian tycoon for building a small road, who later vanished. While Li Ka-shing has donated over 30 billion Hong Kong dollars to education, healthcare, and disaster relief, yet is smeared. This, they said, is the tragedy of our era. A fire destroyed buildings, exposed corruption, and illuminated humanity. How far is the truth from us? We will continue to follow it for you.